Welcome to the September 2010 Professional Railroader Focus, Safety Awareness and Fixation.
The job we were doing that day was no different than any other job. Get out the old ties, set in the new ones, get the rail anchored and in service. Gary, our backhoe operator, was having some problems getting one of the ties in. The tie plowed up some of the ballast and we were already behind at that point. All I wanted to do was get the job done. I sure didn't notice anything else going on around me. Yeah, I guess you can say I was fixated on the task.
If you remember from our July 2010 Professional Railroader Focus, fixation is one of the 4 warning signs we need to be on the lookout for. These signs are warnings that indicate you have lost awareness of your surroundings. And on the railroad, awareness is critical to staying safe. As we're about to learn, when you lose sight of the big picture around you, a serious incident might not be far behind.
We were already behind and I wanted to help move things along. So I just stepped in to get a couple shovelfuls of ballast out of the way without realizing that I tuned out everything else that was going on.
What Mike didn't notice while he was fixated on removing the ballast was that he had stepped directly into the backhoe's red zone. Fixation is the focus of attention on any one item to the exclusion of all others. Although getting the new tie in was necessary to complete the overall job, it was not so important that Mike should lose the broader perspective. In fact, there's no single task on the railroad so important to cause us to ignore everything else going on around us. As a railroader, you must be constantly aware of your current environment and the forces acting upon you. These forces help us make the right decisions and stay out of harm's way. If Mike had listened to his warning sign, the fact he was fixated on a single task and ignoring everything else, he could have prevented what happened next.
I had my head down, totally fixated on the tie. While the other guys were out of the way, I just stepped into the red zone. I never realized where my foot was at.
Mike's foot was crushed between the rail base and tie. While the injuries he sustained are not life-threatening, they are life-changing. Considering the force at which a backhoe bucket can move, Mike considers himself lucky.
The tie crushed my foot and broke my ankle. All I had to do was stop what I was doing and look around. If I had any awareness of what was going on, I would have realized I had stepped right into the backhoe's red zone.
Loss of awareness leads to incidents and injuries. While we can't necessarily tell everyone what it feels like to be constantly aware, we can remind you what it feels like just before awareness is lost. Knowing and recognizing these warning signs can help us all to stay more alert and help us make the right decisions, the safe decisions, while on the job. Do not let yourself become so entirely fixated on a single task or issue that you lose sight of everything else going on around you. Your jobs are task-intensive. You're required to focus on the job at hand, but never to the detriment of everything else. There's too much at stake when it comes to your safety. Just ask Mike.
Staying focused on the task is definitely important. You have to pay attention to what you're doing, but don't get so fixated that you forget there's a lot of other stuff going on around you.